I'm Hava, and today we are exploring Hasidic Crown Heights. New York City has the largest Jewish community outside of Israel, and the religion has various subgroups. Crown Heights has a very large Hasidic, which means Ultra-Orthodox community, and it is home to the headquarters of Chabad-Lubavitch, which is right behind me. Now it's time to take an official tour of Hasidic Crown Heights.
Eat any milk or meat together, we don't cook any meat or milk together. And therefore, anytime that we have any heat element involved, we keep them completely separate. So, microwave, dishwasher, stove, sinks, it stays completely separate. And that's again why there's only one refrigerator. All right, what is kosher meat? And there are two signs to make an animal kosher.
Hooves.
Hooves. What type of hooves?
Split.
Split hooves. And choose its cut. Cow, sheep, goat, bison. Small list of animals that have. There are, a couple others. So, a pig, not kosher. It has split hooves though, but it doesn't chew its cut. You have your kosher animal, slaughtered properly. Now there's one more thing that has to happen before you can actually butcher and eat this piece of meat. And that is there's another commandment of the Torah, which says blood is not kosher. So we have to remove the blood, and that is done with the salting process. Fit for consumption, it gets butchered and packaged and stamped with the kosher symbol, letting you know that it is kosher. Then you've got kosher milk, which is fairly simple. Milk that comes
From the kosher animal.
And any cheeses or milk products, the dairy products that are made from that, why don't we start off with kosher milk. Then you've got this third island over here, which is for what we call par.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the word par?
It's not either one.
It's not meat and it's not milk. It's sort of
vegetables.
Vegetables. Seasoning, grains, mushrooms, yes. Anything that is not milk or meat. Fish is also considered par, and there are two sides to make fish kosher. And those two are fins and scales. Catch it wherever you catch it, it's kosher. And there's a list of birds that are kosher. That in the Torah it gives you clear instructions of which birds are kosher. There's no signs, but it tells you this bird is kosher, this bird is not kosher, and we sort of have a tradition of what those birds are. Yeah. This is all kosher, right? It's natural, raw ingredients, they're kosher. The problem is though, the second something becomes processed or manufactured, we want to know what's going on in there. Every single product that gets processed would have to have a kosher symbol on it, which is the rabbis go down to the factory, they inspect what's going on there, what other ingredients, what other things are being made on the same plant, and if everything checks out, then they'll give their stamp of approval, and that'll let you know that it is kosher. So every single product that we bring into our house, in our home, will have a kosher symbol. Even if it's just a simple spice, which is kosher, that there's a third-party organization that certifies that this is up to that standard. But that is the basics behind the Kosher Kitchen.
I was so hoping we would see this.
Can't guarantee, but it's not a place that people go into. They don't just walk into a wig store.
No.
Because it's a private place, and especially men don't get the door. But if they buzz us in, they buzz us in. All right, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. It's your lucky day. Come on in.
Yay!
Welcome to the nicest wig store in Crown Heights. You start wearing a wig after you get married. Because the idea is a commandment of the Torah, after a Jewish woman gets married, she covers her hair. And the nicest and most practical way of doing that in 2023 is with a wig. You can tell which one's more expensive and which one's cheaper.
This is just finer, softer hair.
Oh wow!
But some people don't mind, it's just more high end. So yeah. Usually, the brides, we try to find the exact same color as their hair, and then after that, usually people just get what's in style. Or
what if your neck is sweaty? How do you clean it?
right, so when you take it out, we show all everyone just brush your regular hair. So you do every 2 months you wash it.
Wow. Yay! This is another one I wanted. I've always been all the things related to the garment and the wear and what do people wear.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Came on a Hasidic walking tour, that's what you're gonna get.
Yay!
All right, come on inside Primo Hatters and find out a little bit more. Before we get to the hats and the jackets and stuff like that and all the black, I want to talk about one of these. And that everyone's got.
Kippah.
Kippah, yarmulke, koppel. The tzitzis as well is Jewish law. From when you're 3 years old, you start wearing the yarmulke for the boys, because guys have this problem sometimes that our egos get a little bit out of hand, a little bit beyond where they should be. So we wear a yarmulke on our head to let us know, hey, calm down. You're not the top of the totem pole. There's someone on top of you that put you here for a purpose, and you should be conscious of that. Now, the tzitzis are there to remind you of the commandments. There are 613 commandments. One of the 613 is to tie the tzitzis onto your garments to remind you of the other 612. That's the idea behind the yarmulke and the tzitzis. Then you've got the rest of the getup. You got the black jacket, the hat, whatever else you got, and that's a lot more cultural. The way you dress affects the way that you present yourself. You're dressed formal and proper, you feel formal and proper. That's the idea behind the dressing formally. But it's not specifically a Jewish thing. I mean, they're not Jewish jackets, they're not Jewish hats, they're Italian made.
Yeah, so Zara.
But here's the story. We don't just dress properly when we go to synagogue, because life isn't just meaningful and important when you go to synagogue. So we dress formally every day, all day, because life is important at every part of life. And we want to feel that. But you can look at someone, and based off the way that they're dressed, you can tell which Hasidic group they're a part of. So if someone has a black hat with the brim down, it's part of this Hasidic community. The brim up, might not be.
Really?
Yeah, it really goes down to the details.
And by this Hasidic, are we talking about Chabad?
Yeah. Orthodox is the same. Everyone's following the same commandments, following the same standards. The philosophy is a little bit different. Can I offer you to try on a black hat?
Sure, why not?
All right, there we go. We're going to get you a really holy looking one, okay?
Oh boy.
There you go.
Wow.
What do you guys think? What do you think?
Very formal.
How's it look?
He's already in black.
Oh, yeah. And you got
I know,
the
I'm
beard.
a little broken up right there, but
You got the beard.
yeah, right?
It's a full-on
Yeah.
look. It fits right in.
You got it.
Cappotto.
Capetta.
And it's actually like an Italian word. And it just means an overcoat. And it's like a tux. And you start wearing one of these on Shabbat or on special occasions once you get married. Once you get married, you sort of step up in your importance. If you walk around on Shabbat and someone's wearing a long coat, that means that they're married. Short jacket is available. Notice how this is buttoned. Normally, when you button the jacket, the left side goes over the right. But on this one, the right goes over the left. So what seems to be just a simple kapata is actually, there's a lot of details.
Can you briefly explain again what the significance of the right side?
Right represents kindness, according
That's
to
right.
Hava. So we always want the kindness to be felt. When it comes, you become of age and you want to find a match, so then the matchmaker will come in. We also call it a yenta sometimes. Usually it's around 20, 21, 22, 23 for the boys. So this yenta, this matchmaker, could be anybody. It could be somebody that happens to know the two of you, or it could be someone who does that full time. And if they think the two of you will make a good match, then they'll present it to your parents.
Are you privy to this presentation?
That depends.
Just saying.
It depends on your relationship with your parents. As in, some people want to be involved, and some people say, no, you know what, I mean, you decide, and I'll just trust your judgment. The parents will look into that and see, does this make sense for a marriage? What we're looking for here is a marriage. Is a marriage possible between the two people? Both sides will look into it, see if it makes sense on paper. If it does make sense on paper, then you go out on a date and you actually meet and see if you actually like them. And the boy will pick up the girl, go to a private place, wherever it is in the city or somewhere around.
Like a restaurant?
It would more be like just go for drinks. That's what the typical standard has
Find that
become now.
speakeasy.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the deal. You go out and you have very real conversation. You're both there for one very specific purpose. Can I marry this person? So you can imagine it's very real, it's very serious. Not serious, but it's got a strong
They know why they're there.
intensity in the air, exactly. The point is to see if a marriage is possible. Now, if the answer is yes, then you go ahead and get married. If the answer is no, then there's no need to continue this on. And if it works out, good. If not, there's nothing wrong with anybody because you can't get married. So it's nobody's business. Because we're not trying to create heartbreak. We're not trying to create drama. We're just trying to create a marriage. So if marriage is possible, good. Go on the second date. If not, you just go your own way. And every community does it differently. Every person does it differently. It's a personal journey that people go through. There's a system that it works within, but it's very much a person by person, community by community way. So everything that I'm telling you is my opinion of what goes on here in Crown Heights.
Yeah.
And then you go to other communities and they have what they call the show, which is the two of you are set up and that's it. That is your match.
Oh.
Basically, like there are communities where there's arranged marriage. This is not one of them. It's just very structured dating.
It's a lot more thorough version of Tinder. So his name is the Alter Rebbe, which means the old rabbi. He's the founder of this Hasidic group. So as I mentioned, there's a bunch of different Hasidic groups. So he founded this Hasidic group called Chabad. Chabad is the name of the movement. And then his son moved to a town in Russia called Lubavitch. So that's what Chabad-Lubavitch.
And is that like the Rebbe who preceded Mendel Schneerson?
He's the Rebbe who preceded Mezuzah 7 generations earlier.
Okay.
So the Rebbe, who we're going to talk about in just a minute when we go to the synagogue, is his grandson, 7th generation. So he's the founder of this whole idea. And it was started back in the old country in Europe, and here he is painted on a Brooklyn ground, because ideas don't die. It doesn't make a difference if it's in the old country or here in Brooklyn. Ideas don't die. And we're still following those messages and those ideas here in Brooklyn. So far you've been in Crown Heights, which is one of the Hasidic communities. We've spoken about other Hasidic communities around the neighborhood. There's one in Williamsburg. And the thing is that in Williamsburg, they were living their life, they were having a good time, everything was fine. Sort of closed themselves off a little bit to the outside, but they were living a nice life. And then people started moving into Williamsburg that were a little bit different. A little bit of a different way of life, a little bit of a different style dress, a little bit of a different music preference. The people that moved into the north side of Williamsburg were what we call the hipsters.
Yeah.
The Hasidic community there was not very happy with the hipsters weren't very happy with the Hasidic. And it's very hard to share the same space with someone who has such a different lifestyle. The cover of the New Yorker was a picture of a Hasidic Jew and a hipster on the train. And they're standing back to back. They're not talking to each other. You sort of sense the friction, you feel that. And the Hasidic Jew's there in his hat, his long black coat, hipster's there in a tank top, tattoos, listening to music. But in this picture, there was one thing that the two of them had in common.
The beard.
They're on the beard.
Oh, yeah.
They both have beautiful beards.
Oh, I love it.
And a young rabbi looked at this picture and was like, hey, we got the beards in common. I'm sure there's a lot more we have in common. Let's get to know each other a little bit. And he made an event in Williamsburg for people to come ask whatever questions they wanted, have whatever conversation. And he called it Unite the Beards.
Unite the beard.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
He went on Fiverr and made a little logo for this event. And he made a picture of a face. Half the face is a Hasidic Jew and half the face is a hipster. And yes, that is that right there. That is Unite the Beards.
You will only find this in Crown Heights. You said this is world famous fish?
Yeah, Roskins. They make internationally famous gefilte fish.
Just take life in and do the best with it that you could. And it doesn't matter if you're Jewish or not Jewish or black or white or green or yellow. It doesn't matter. Just take in life and hold it next to you and learn from it. From the good things, learn good. From the bad things, learn what not to do. And the most important, enjoy life.
Mashiach is when the world will reach its completion. When we will all make the world a better place than it should be. Everyone is a part of that. And that's what we're working towards. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So all these signs are there to bring awareness about that. All across the states, you've got exact replicas of this building. Australia, France, Italy, Brazil,
And this
Israel.
building is original.
This is the OG. A little bit of history about this building. Okay, the majority of the Hasidic Jews in the 1930s were living in Europe, Poland, Hungary. This Hasidic community, the previous Chabad-Lubavitch Rebbe, was living in Poland at the time, in Warsaw. And that was where they liked it. They were like, Europe is the place. America, not so much. The thing was, 1940, living in Poland wasn't ideal. With no other option, the Hasidic Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, came over to America. And it came time to resettle. So they were looking for a place to set their roots. Now, there were no Hasidic Jews in America at the time. Nobody in America had a beard. That was unheard of. The motto of the American Jews, specifically here in Crown Heights, were we're American on the outside and Jewish on the inside. But this Rebbe needed a place to settle down. He wanted to buy this building. And the people in Crown Heights were like, it's going to ruin the neighborhood. It's going to change the dynamics of it. And they actually tried to stop the sale of the building, saying, keep that for the old country. This is America. Wrong place, buddy. And they actually tried to sign a petition, and everyone on this block, all Jewish residents, signed along this paper. And until they came to the last house right here, which was owned by a Dr. Schwartz. And Dr. Schwartz looked at this paper, and it was like, the Jews are fighting for their lives to make it out of Europe. And they finally make it out and arrive here in New York. And they want to rebuild and restart, and I'm going to stop them from rebuilding their lives. And he ripped up that paper, and that allowed the sale to go through. So it's big, rock on. So it's been about 80 years. Have you noticed any changes to the neighborhood? Have you noticed any Hasidic Jews with beards walking around? Judaism came to America and survived, and didn't just survive, but thrived here. Fast forward 10 years, and the previous Rebbe, the one who fell over, passed away, and the leadership was given over to his son-in-law, the Rebbe. And you've seen this picture all over the place. And he took this a step further when he said, yeah, we're going to be Orthodox and Hasidic here in Crown Heights, but actually, anywhere with this Jewish community, we're going to send a rabbi there to be there for that. And that is the Chabad that we've been speaking about, the outreach. Which they send a rabbi from this community, from here, to go out and be there for whatever the needs of that Jewish community are. Jewish school, kosher food, synagogue, whatever it is, we bring it to them. And now they have centers on 6 continents in over 100 countries and 5,500 representatives. People give up on those comforts of living around similar-minded people. You move out to Houston, Texas. How many Hasidic Jews were in Houston, Texas when the Lazarus first moved there? Not that many. Now,
or like College Station, the Lazarus
right?
there.
A&M, yes. That takes a lot of inspiration and motivation to move out, away from your community. And people, when the Rebbe started this, to convince people to do it, are you crazy to send someone away from his cocoon and start a Jewish community somewhere? It was a radical idea. It took a lot of inspiration and motivation. You know where they got that inspiration from? From the Rebbe, right here in 7-7. So a lot of these Chabad shluchim, as we call them, move out, and when it comes time to build a center, they want to replicate where they got all that inspiration and motivation from, which is their headquarters right here in Crown Heights, 7-7. That's why there are about 40 replicas of this building around the world. A little bit about the Rebbe, who was the most recent Rebbe. Now, he actually studied in the Sorbonne, and he studied in the University of Berlin. He was a mechanical engineer by trade. And he was living here in New York, and he was working in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. You know the Brooklyn Navy Yard? Mm-hmm. It's a hip place to work nowadays, but then it was an actual Navy Yard.
Yeah.
That's where he worked.
Yeah.
When his father-in-law passed away, the way it works with the Rebbe is it's a dynasty. It goes from father to son, or father to son-in-law. So when his father-in-law passed away, it was time for him to take over, and the Hasidic people here wanted him to take over. They were trying to convince him. He was like, guys, I'm not interested. I got my life, I got my job, I'm doing my thing. He had a couple of things I'm involved in. We don't want this public position. And they pushed him for a year, back and forth, until he finally accepted. When he did accept it, he said, all right, guys, I'm going to do it, but it's not going to be easy for me. Because the Rebbe had this radical idea, this radical dream, that the world should be a better place. Not just here in Crown Heights, not just Brooklyn, not just the Jewish community, but the entire world. Now, that's not something that one man does. And the Rebbe encouraged people to take personal responsibility, to make whatever change and difference they can in their life, wherever it is that they can do that. And then he started sending people away. Don't stay here in Crown Heights. Go out. And even if you're not going out, but you have effect that you can have on other people, go out and do that. And it started a worldwide network and movement of people trying to make the world a better place, bringing heaven down to earth. When people think of Hasidic communities, they usually think of insular and enclosed and stuff like that. They think of walled off. But the Rebbe's idea was that we have to make the world a better place. You can't wall yourself off. You can't stay in your little shtetl. Started in the 60s, it was starting off in the 50s and 60s, and then it just grew up. It's the largest Jewish outreach organization. It's got effects all over the world. You know where that all started from? This building that we're standing in right here. There's a concept in Judaism that holiness doesn't leave its place. When something happens in a place, that effect stays there. Holiness stays absorbed in the walls of the place. So people want to come back here. This is where it all started. You know what they call this thing right here? They call that the magnet.
The magnet?
Because it attracts people from all over the world. Because at a certain point, if you wanted a meeting with the Rebbe, you had to come to his office right here. And he would take meetings 3-4 times a week. It would start at around 8 p.m. and go till 3-4 in the morning. And whatever you needed to speak about, whatever questions you had, asking for a blessing, whatever it was, you would come in here. At a certain point, if you wanted a meeting, you had to book 6 months in advance. So we started something called dollars. This is what you mentioned before, where he would stand right here in this room that we're standing. And every Sunday, people would wait online for hours to get their dollar. The Rebbe would give them $1. You would walk by, have a quick conversation, or get a blessing, and he would give you $1. Now, what were you supposed to do with that $1?
Tzedakah?
Give it to tzedakah. Pay it on. Pass it on to the next person. Here you get a win-win situation. Somebody wants to come have a conversation with the Rebbe, here's a place to do it.
Is that what's going on?
That's what's going on.
I just saw them passing out dollars. Okay.
Yes. And that's what's going on right there. And you can see they have these videos playing of different random people that came by. When we walked in, it was Mayor Deacons walking by. We always have different people coming through. But here you have a place where you can have a conversation, and it won't stop there. The benefit of that conversation isn't just for the 2 people involved, but it will benefit a 3rd person as well. All the mayors of New York would come by right here. Bibi Netanyahu. There's Israeli prime ministers, politicians, rabbis from around the world. Little schoolgirls coming by, getting their moment with the Rebbe. And that's something important. That it didn't make a difference who you were. It didn't make a difference how great or how small you were. You got your moment. You got your attention. So you want to know one of the aspects that created this global organization?
Yeah.
The attention to every single individual. The importance of every individual. You can't measure the value of human life. And at the same token, you can't measure the value of one simple thing that a person might do. So you give $1 of charity. To you, that might not be a big deal. But what that does for God, or what that does to the person that you're giving it to, who are you to judge that? That was the Rebbe's attitude. So the Rebbe passed away in 1994.
Right.
And he passed on leaders, and a lot of these Chabad rabbis move out around the world. They're leaders in their own communities and in their own lives. But the Rebbe died without any children. And it's a dynasty, it goes from father to son. Ideas don't die. So the ideas are still... I was born after the Rebbe passed away. I never met him. But I was affected by those ideas. And I have news for every one of you today. The fact that you're here and you've had previous encounters with Chabad, or even if you didn't, but you're here in a Hasidic community by the magnet, that's thanks to one person's vision, one person's concept, that we all have to work together to make that change, to make that difference. Jew, non-Jew, we're all working towards the same goal, each in our own way. Now, in the synagogue, the men and the women are separate. So I have a little spot where we're all going to go together and check it out. It's a yeshiva where people are sitting and studying. And right now the rabbi is giving a class. So you see the rabbi standing at the desk with the mic. He's giving a class where the Torah scroll is written, where the Tefillin are made, where the Mezuzahs are made. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Mezuzahs, and we're going to find out a little bit about that inside of the Scribe. So come on in. Here you got a Torah scroll. And take a good look at it. So you guys are actually looking at it upside down.
Yeah.
We're looking at it this way, and it goes from right to left, and it makes its way down. Every single letter here is handwritten by a scribe with perfect accuracy. Every single letter of the Torah must be exact. It can't be missing one letter. The letter can't be broken, it can't be chipped, it can't be cracked. If you look closely, you'll see some of them have these little crowns on top. They make sure that every single one of those crowns is perfect. Every single one of those letters must be exact. And two letters can't be too far apart, and two words can't be too far apart. There's a lot of details. Every one of these spaces is exact. If a mistake is found, then you bring it into the scribe's office, and you get it fixed over, which is what's going on here. They're in the middle of fixing this over. And you see all those Torah scrolls on the wall. They're all there to be fixed over. That preserves the Torah. This is the exact same Torah that it's always been. You always speak about Ashkenazi Jews and Sephardi Jews. Their Torahs are exactly the same. They have different customs, different foods, and different ways of life. But the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, is exactly the same. And everything that we do sources itself right back here. You never see them out like this, by the way.
Really?
They're in the synagogue. They're kept in that ark all the way in the front. They're taken out to be read, put right back. And even when they're out there, when they open up that ark, everyone stands up out of respect for the Torah. A lot of respect is given to the Torah. But here it's being fixed over. It's not kosher at the moment, so we get to show it off.
Cool.
But typically, this is not something that you just get to observe like that. This is the spot. This is it. This is where they all come. One of them on the wall is from Lisbon, Portugal. That is the Torah. Then you've got the mezuzahs on every door. You got one of these. And inside there is a little scroll with the Shema written. Familiar with the Shema?
Yes.
Shema is a very foundational prayer in Judaism, something we say every night before we go to sleep. Famously, whenever Jews were being killed for being Jewish, their final words were always the Shema. So right here you've got what's inside of the mezuzah. These are called Tefillin. This is what we wear during our morning prayers. And the boys wear it from when they're 13 years old. You start putting on the Tefillin. And inside of these boxes are smaller pieces of parchment with the commandment to put them on. Everything that goes into it has to come from a kosher source. Written on parchment from a kosher animal. What they use mostly nowadays is a calf's skin. Same goes for the writing of the mezuzah and the tefillin. It's all written on that. And as you can see, they write it with a quill from a kosher bird. So they start off with a piece of skin from a kosher animal as well. This is the neck area of a cow.
So this is more form?
And this is the final product. After a nice lot of months of slowly forming it and slowly shaping it, you'll end up with that same, you see it's that same one piece, all molded and folded together. And this is sort of what your end product will look like. Or you got it right there. And you'll put there's 4 times in the Torah where it gives the commandments to put on the throne. They're each inserted into one of the compartments. And they do come in different sizes, always square, but different sizes.
I've actually never held an actual box.
So these 4 like rectangular pieces.
Okay. Here we've got the...
It also has... Oh, wait. That one has 3 and the other one has 4.
What's going on? So they have to be painted black. It has to have the shin on it. See that letter shin?
Yeah.
You see there's another letter shin here. Something wrong. So it's meant to have 3, but for some reason it's got 4 on the other side. And that's a commandment Moses came down from the Torah and he said, when you make tefillin, there's got to be a shin on it. 1 with 3, 1 with 4. So there's a lot of reasons. 3 and 4 is 7. 7 is a very significant number in Judaism. 7 days of the week. And according to Kabbalah, there's 7 emotions. When you put on the tefillin, you wrap it 7 times around your arm as well. But another thing is, how many fathers are there of the Jewish people? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. 3 fathers. How many mothers are there of Jewish people?
4.
Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel.
Rachel.
Right. 4. So you've got your fathers and your mothers right there.
Oh.
Now, when you close the tefillin, when you close up the box, you put in the parchments, you close it up, you gotta tie it closed. You see that string that's tying it closed? Wrapped around? It's not allowed to be glued shut, and that must be tied closed. So first of all, what is this made out of? What is the rope made out of?
Probably, yeah, it's
Hair from a
probably.
kosher animal is actually what they use to wrap up the parchment before they put it in. But it's not strong enough to keep the box closed. It's from the tendon of a cow. And then they will hammer that out and then string it. This is the main scribe, the master scribe of this office.
Hi.
Text your father on me.
All right. He's actually just left town. But yeah. He's on his way to. I'll text him. All right. That's what we call a shtetl. All right. So we're gonna make the bracha together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahaniach tefillin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvah tefillin. Finish up over here. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Yeah, it was a very small town feel, even though we're smack in the middle of a huge city.
And also the effects of this town have impacted your life. This is my life. That was my home. I actually lived there.
Yeah.
This is I was here this morning in the synagogue before you guys came doing my morning prayer. Like this is personal. You know, Moshe just said, like, tell your father, this is my life. And to be able to show that to people and find that common ground beyond the differences and find where we all can connect, and people are open and receptive to it, it's nice. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. How else would we get to experience something like this without you welcoming us into your life? That was an amazing tour, very culturally enriching, and just really neat to sort of pull back the curtain and learn about this community. I gotta give Mayor a big shout out because he truly made the tour. He was so welcoming, the way he explained everything. It was really just the right energy for this type of experience. And I'm gonna link all the information down below because it's really something worth coming to experience if you have the opportunity. At the end of the tour, I asked Mayor for a recommendation for a bakery in Crown Heights, and unfortunately the main one is currently under construction, so he sent me to the marketplace, which is actually a supermarket, but there's apparently a bakery inside that he said is his favorite, and it smells incredible, and I'm on the outside of the building. Oh wow, it smells so good in here. I'm hoping they have some Hamentashen, which is a traditional dessert for Purim, which is a holiday that's coming up. All right, got the Hamentashen. The Chabad headquarters make a great backdrop to eat this delicious Hamentashen from a kosher supermarket here in Crown Heights. Giving it a taste. Yeah, asking locals where to get food, that is the way to go. So thank you, Mayor, for this awesome recommendation and for the tour. I definitely think this is the kind of thing that a lot of people wouldn't know to put on their itinerary, although surprisingly, most of the people on the tour were not from here or not local. And apparently most of the time, the group is comprised of mostly people who are not even Jewish. So you may not have heard about this, but certainly a lot of people are coming out. You don't need to be Jewish to come experience this. And it's certainly interesting if you are Jewish. So yeah, this was a great experience, saw a lot of it, but there's nothing like coming to experience it for yourself. So if we're not connected on Instagram already, go ahead and follow me there and like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, you know, all of that stuff. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.